Lesson 32.
Él, ella.
Okay, Antonio, there are a couple of issues here in Lesson 32 that we need to discuss. The first thing is that I would like to ask you the question of exactly how you pronounce ella. I've heard it pronounced ella, and I've heard it pronounced ella. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about the pronunciation of that word.
Well, Bill, here we have the same type of issue as in a few lessons ago when we learned to say yo, I. In Spanish, double L, it's one letter, as opposed to in English, if you see two L's, that's just two letters, one letter followed by another one. In Spanish, that's called the eje. Two L's together, that's called the eje. And basically, it's as far as pronouncing that, it's exactly the same as if we had a Y, which followed by a vowel. So what we have is the same thing as the word yo, which is that we use a light J sound in some countries, and in other countries we would use kind of a Y sound, as in ella, as opposed to ella, or in southern South America, in countries like Argentina, Paraguay, Uruguay, they would say it as a ZH sound, just like this, ella. So basically we have three different ways of pronouncing that word: ella, ella, or ella. And I would say the more standard way of saying it is just the first one I said, ella. It's most Latin countries would say it that way, including Spain. But Hispanics in United States, Hispanics born and raised in the United States would say ella, or Argentinians, Paraguayans would say ella. So basically, every time you see a double L followed by a vowel, it's gonna be pronounced the same as every time you see a Y followed by a vowel.
So we're going to run into this same issue over and over again. We're going to see that same variation in pronunciation repeatedly.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, the other thing I wanted to talk about is the fact that we have a word that is spelled the same as a word we already know. This new word that means he, L, is spelled E-L, and we already know a word that's spelled E-L, and that's the definite article, L. Like if we say el hombre, means the man. What's different about this word, L?
Okay, first thing is that L, as in he, has a written accent, as opposed to L as a definite masculine article, which does not have a written accent. So right there's a major difference. Every time you see that word with the accent, with the written accent, you know that means he, not the, not an article. And if the same way as if you see it without the accent, it's just an article, a definite article.
Okay, so when we talked about to with the accent and then to without the accent, you said that there's a slight difference in pronunciation because one of them is less emphatic. TU without the accent just means your, and it always has something coming after it.
Same thing applies here. Exactly the same thing.
So you could say L with the accent more emphatically.
Yes.
Because you're using it to say he.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's L meaning the, it's always going to have something coming after it, like el hombre.
That's exactly it, Bill. That's it.
So it's very similar to the issue with to. Okay, and again, maybe the accent over the E here will help our listeners to remember that this word could typically have a little bit more oomph behind it. Okay, I think at this point we understand the ins and outs of these two new words, El and Ella. El meaning he, and Ella meaning she. And in the next lesson, we're going to really get some practice using these.